Yes, indeed, folks, you listen to Brew Please here on WoW Radio with myself, Total Biscuit. Brew Please, whatever the hell you want to call it. Drink lots of vodka, please. Vodka. Yes. Great party going on in game, by the way. Absolutely fantastic fun. Thank you ever so much for people showing up. Got some guy asking for a shout out to Buff Job. That's quite silly. You guys are nuts. Every last one of you. Oh well, it's all in good fun. Rapping the forums coming up later. Nubcake news coming up after this. Oh yes. The best is yet to come, folks. The best is yet to come. In the meantime, let's talk a little bit about a dragon. Haven't seen dragons in a while, have we? Don't seem to be all that many around these days. Mainly because we keep killing all of them. Dragons everywhere. Oh, not anymore, at any rate. Oh well, we deal. We move on. Onyxia, welcome back in 3.2.2. Onyxia, who we killed about 5 million times. But it's okay, because WoW lore dictates that it's fine to bring back anything, as long as it involves recycling content. Or Kael'thas, or Anubarak, or Nefarian, or Ragnaros. Oh dear. Running out of villains, are we, Blizzard? We'll stop killing them so damn fast! Lord. Honestly, I don't really care about the lore. I never have. Don't give a rat's arse, as it is called. Honestly. Why would I? After all, the lore is paper thin anyway. So I did not really see the problem. So here's the thing about Onyxia. I don't, in principle, have a problem with Onyxia being brought back into the game. I don't, in principle, have a problem with any boss being brought back into the game. There's a couple of things I have a problem with. The first thing is that if you are going to celebrate the 5-year anniversary of WoW, why couldn't you do it by providing a good encounter? Last I checked, Onyxia was pretty iconic in terms of mechanics and all that good stuff. I imagine most of you would agree with me on that. It certainly wasn't the best fight ever, but it was better than the vast majority of stuff in Molten Core, that's for sure. They obviously put a lot more thought into that. Onyxia was a little bit legendary for a while. It took a long time to kill Onyxia. I remember when Onyxia first got killed, I think it was by some Korean guild that did it. I don't even remember specifically who it was. The name eludes me. But they killed it, and that was a big deal at the time. I was just into WoW, so I really didn't care so much. I didn't really understand what the big deal was. What's an Onyxia? Well, that's fine. However, bringing it back into the game and making it suck is something that sort of concerns me. It would be nice to make Onyxia this big epic fight that everyone would have to really work at, but it doesn't look like they've done that. I've yet to have the opportunity to experience it, but by the looks of it, I've already experienced it by doing normal Onyxia. All we know is it deep breaths more. Oh no! Get out of the fire! Hard, hard, hard. So tricky, so difficult, so challenging, as they call it. Yeah. No. No, no, no. I think the real issue is that you're sort of pissing on your legacy a bit when you take a fight that's that iconic and just throw it back in as a loot farming area. Now, Onyxia eventually became a loot farming area. I don't think anyone's going to really dispute that. Let's do Oni this week and see if our tier 2 helms drop. Makes sense, right? I can understand that. But then again, that was back in the day. I see the revival of any encounter as the chance to make it challenging, fun, and epic again. Yes, I did just say epic. Why couldn't we make the original epic encounter epic again? I'm also okay with bringing back old items reskinned and stuff like that. And I know people have been whining that apparently it's impossible to get full tier 2 anymore. Well, so I've been told the helms have been moved to Blackwing Lair. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But as far as I'm aware, that's what's happened. So you can still get full tier 2 if you want it for whatever reason. You're not going to be able to get it in Cataclysm, that's for sure. So half of the places are going to be wrecked and changed into all manner of other things. All I can say is, I hope we don't see full tier 2 reskinned for the Cataclysm Blackwing Descent instance, or tier 1 reskinned for the new Elemental Ragnaros fight. Oh god. That would be terrible. That would be absolutely appalling. Something I could do without. So, I'm alright with that, but what I'm not okay with is making loot that's disproportionate to the level of the challenge involved. I don't care if it's an anniversary fight. I don't care if it's an unscheduled raid incident that's been put into the game that we didn't expect. That doesn't really bother me as such. I mean, why would it? Extra content's good, right? What bothers me is when you take an unscheduled instance like that and put in disproportionate loot to the level of challenge that's in there. And we're not just talking little pieces either. And if you look at the loot table, there's a lot of really good stuff. There really are. The loot table is actually quite impressive. If you have a look at MMO Champion, they have added in a few of the things from the old 40-man bosses, whether they be world bosses or stuff in Molten Core, and of course they've added stuff into the list from the old Onyxia. Now, if you look at the list, there's a bunch of interesting and intriguing stuff. And it's all been renamed. It's the same models. Nothing's been changed about the models, which is kind of a shame, because I'd have liked some recolors, if anything. It's like the Raging Deathbringer, the Honed Fang of the Mystics. The Fang of the Mystics, if you remember correctly, actually dropped from Azurigus. Reinforced Shadow and Thunderstrike. The Antediluvian Cornerstone Grimoire. That's nice. I like the name there. Rifled Blaster Shot Launcher. The Frost-Forged Helm, the Frost-Forged Great Helm. Those are new, actually, there for the Death Knights. And then a bunch of Judgment stuff, all of the old Tier 2 helmets, the Flowing Saffron Drape, Signified Ring of Binding, the Shiny Shard of the Flame, which is kind of cool, actually. Shiny Shard of the Scale as well. Things like that. The enlarged Onyxia Hide Backpack, the Ashen Sack of Gems. You know, it's stuff that gives you a nice little bit of nostalgia. But it's not just that, because these are like item level 2, 4, 5 stuff. Yeah? And they are really not hard to get. Really. It's Onyxia, for God's sake. And I've also heard that there are some issues in terms of the balancing between 10 and 25 man. Which is rather odd, really. I would have thought they'd have learned from that. I mean, we had the old thing with the 10 and 25 man modes of Sartharian, 3 Drakes specifically. That was a little bit more challenging. It was a bit of an oddball, that one. But I wouldn't have thought they've repeated that. But it seems like the mechanics have just worked against them. So let's have a look. I got an interesting email about this. It's called Blizzard Does It Again. It's from Nicholas Bouquet, which is a bit of a fruity name, let's be honest. Hey TB, do you think Blizzard has repeated the failure to properly tune 10 and 25 man modes on Onyxia, the same way they failed to tune OS 10 3D? I.e. the only difference between Oni 10 and 25 during Phase 2 is the ads have more hit points and Oni's fireballs do more damage. In 25-man raid you can have 3 tanks, MT, left and right whelps, 5 healers and 17 DPS. In a 10-man you can, at most, have a second tank and a third healer, though most will only have 2. Yeah, they probably screwed it up. The thing is, you're looking at mechanics for a fight that was designed for 40 people. And you're then going to scale it down to 25, which is okay, because, hey, people were doing it at 25 anyway back in the day. Then to 10. And then when you scale it down to 10, when you've got the 2 whelp packs and things like that, yeah, it starts to get a little bit bothersome. Now, I've been told that it's bothersome to do the AoEing of the whelps all in one big group, and the tank's got to be relatively well equipped. Well, this is what you get for resurrecting old fights and not really taking into account the new landscape. It's still not all that hard, but it is very odd to have 10-mans be more difficult than 25. Like I said, it's the whole issue of scaling the 10 and 25-man modes and having separate progression paths that actually make sense. And I think, to be honest, Onyxia makes no sense in the progression path anyway. I think that's something that we have determined quite stalwartly, quite honestly, and quite certainly. I mean, where does it stand in the progression path? I mean, item level 245. Item level 245 is Ulduar. Hard modes, a little bit of hard mode in there, I think. 245? Would I be wrong in that? I can't honestly remember. But that's what it looks like to me. I mean, we had some 232s, 245. Yeah, I suppose it would be some of the later stuff on the 25-man modes in Old War. Now, you're seriously telling me that Onyxia is harder than anything other than No Towers and Flame Leviathan? So I doubt it. I wonder if Guild Progress has any information on this yet. Let's have a look. wow.guildprogress.com. It's only come out recently, so maybe they haven't got it yet. Let's have a look and see if they have any information on it. No, they do not, by the looks of it. That's rather disappointing. Oh well, never mind. I'm sure that quite a few people have already done it. Honestly. Really, I am honestly sure that they have. And they're probably cracking through it. Now, again, I'm not all that bothered about having an easy fight. You know, throwing in an easy, instant bonus fight. Okay. That's fine. But why did it have to be Onyxia? And why do you have to have item level 245? If I remember, I've just been told by someone in-game, funnily enough, item level 245 is the Trial of the Crusader 25 man. That's like tier 9. Tier 9 level loot from Onyxia. Why? It's not like it's just one item either. I mean, you've got quite a selection. Obviously, you've got the helmets. Helmets basically are better than almost anything, except the really hard mode stuff. I mean, God, look at this. Look at the Netherwind helmet. Netherwind crown, 92 int, 81 stamina. Meta socket, yellow socket, plus 9 spell damage socket bonus. 64 hit, 86 crit, 150 spell power. Compare that to the terrible helmet I've actually got at the moment. I wear Gothic's cowl, 75 stamina, 72 int. Meta socket, yellow socket. 8 crit strike bonus. 42 crit strike rating, 34 haste rating, 99 spell power. That absolutely owns it! Absolutely thrashes it to pieces! I mean, obviously it's Nax gear, it's a bit out of date. But are you seriously telling me Onyxia's harder than item level 226? Or 213 even? I don't believe that. I don't think even to new players who are unfamiliar with the old style of mechanic. And what she got that's different? There are whelps. AoE them. Okay, AoEing ads. That's pretty common even these days. Deep breath. Okay, move out of the fire. I think move out of the fire is something that we should know about by now. Especially with raid alert mods. How could it possibly be difficult at all? Billowing roar. Stuff like that. I think actually the only problem that people are really going to have with it is the whole aggro thing, assuming they haven't nerfed that into the ground, which is also possible. They probably have, knowing them. It would be very sad. Very, very sad indeed. Had they done that. Aggro could screw people over so much these days. It's never really a concept that people seem to worry about anymore. I would love it if... And again, I haven't experienced it yet, so maybe it's like this, maybe it isn't. I would love it if the aggro reduction and the aggro wiping... Remember, there is no aggro reset, folks. Many whelps left side. I would love if that was back in and it screwed people over. All these newbie Wrath players that haven't experienced anything like an aggro reset or aggro wiping. Wing buffet! Delicious! Wouldn't that be great? My name is Tall Biscuit. You're listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio, the 100th anniversary show. Got some Nubcake news for you. Then maybe we should wrap the forums and then wrap up the show. Thank you for listening, folks. We are still going strong. This is Nubcake News. Enjoy.
Live from the Blue Please Tower, high up in the Storm Peaks, it's Nubcake News with award-winning anchor Total Biscuit, bringing you the news that matters, regardless of your own misguided beliefs. Welcome to this week's edition of Nubcake News. Coming up later in the program, WoW users protest Brewfest as a bad influence in a game consisting of progress via ultraviolence and genocide. Wait, this isn't satire at all. They actually did this? How mind-numbingly stupid are you? But first, experts are warning of a new zombie plague sweeping across Azeroth. Initially, these warnings have fallen on deaf ears due to the relative frequency and commonplace nature of zombie plagues within the World of Warcraft. One rather weary player was quoted as saying, Didn't we just have a zombie plague last week? Come to think of it, haven't we got an entire continent of brainless flesh-eating monstrosities? These things are becoming more of an inconvenience than a threat. Several of my colleagues were absent from work due to a zombie plague. I think they've incorporated it into their absence forms. Zombie plague made you late this morning? No problem, just tick the zombie plague box for HR. Bloody zombie plagues are a real productivity killer. These claims, as it turns out, do have merit. Nubcake News researchers have found evidence of approximately 874 zombie plagues over the last 5 years. The Azerothian Meteorological Office has declared zombie plagues an official weather condition and is able to predict them almost 2 weeks in advance. And now Ollie with the WoW weather forecast. Ollie, days eating brains! Thanks, Ollie. Regardless of the mundane nature of everyday zombie plagues, experts have informed us that this is, quote, no ordinary plague. In a report published today by the Oh God We're All Gonna Die Association, conclusive evidence has come to light that various menaces previously believed to have been defeated are returning in newer guises to once again threaten the citizens of Azeroth. Following up reports of activity around Onyxia's lair in Duskwallow Marsh, a team of specialists was sent into the caves to determine if anything was amiss. Only a few returned, bringing with them startling accounts of what was inside. One of the team, a Mr. Stuart Crubb, has agreed to talk to us today. Mr. Crubb, welcome to the programme.
Is it safe?
Is what safe?
The programme, is it safe? Have you checked all the nooks and crannies where Onyxia could be hiding?
Well, I'd imagine the security team has things well in hand, but I find it odd that you'd claim Onyxia, a dragon approximately 35 feet tall, with a wingspan the size of a football field, could be hiding, say, in the cupboard under the stairs.
Never underestimate her powers. They say the dragons look like us now. She could be anywhere. In that filing cabinet, hiding in the curtains. How can you be sure? Tell me that.
Well, I suppose that's a risk we're going to have to take. I assure you, you're perfectly safe here. Why are you cowering under that cloak?
This is an Onyxia scale cloak. It will protect me. Back at home, we've stitched together 40 of them to create an Onyxia scale pavilion. The kids will be safe in there.
Well, very inventive, yes. So, Mr. Crubb, can you tell me exactly what happened inside the lair?
It was horrifying. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. Zombie Onyxia! This is far beyond everything we've seen before. We killed her. I know we killed her. Hell, my guild killed her 78 times. Bloodfang Hood still didn't drop. She's dead. Deader than dead. But that's the problem. We killed her so many times that she rose from the grave as a zombie. She's past dead. We put her so far down the scale of dead that she came out the other side.
And would you consider that to be the official lore explanation behind Onyxia's return?
Oh, no, of course not. The entire thing's a cover-up. The government wants to pretend that Onyxia never died to begin with. And this is just like any other dungeon-bound Azerothian menace, but no! I see the truth. You see, it's got to do with tachyons and fluoride.
Thank you, Mr. Crubb. That will be enough for today. Joe, cut his mic.
Just cut it!
We contacted Blizzard Entertainment for information about this new undead Onyxia and were sent a short reply stating, there is no zombie Onyxia. Onyxia has always been there. Unsatisfied with this, we were able to contact an insider, who, through a series of covert operations, possibly involving an Aston Martin and exploding toothpaste, handed us a dossier. Inside were various details of zombie Onyxia's new abilities, which we will now reveal to you verbatim. The information comes from the minutes of a meeting between various high-ranking Blizzard designers. Zombie Onyxia Design Meeting, 7th July 2009, starting at 11 a.m. Meeting starts. Chris Metzen arrives late, apologizes, was busy trying to write lore for gnome druids. May have punched in turn in sheer frustration, in turn to receive disciplinary action for grazing the fist of His Holiness. Team spent several minutes discussing Jaina Proudmoore's ass, determined that it should be more bootylicious for the modern audience. Graphic design team informed, priority 1. Zombie Onyxia now being discussed. Developers are all laughing. Seems to be some kind of joke. One says, I can't believe they'll swallow this tripe. Assume developer not referring to actual tripe, since Blizzard Butchers and Offal Refinery not due to be announced until 2011. Abilities now being discussed. Primary ability, Deep Brains. Attempts to suck in players' brains, instantly killing character. Those without brains considered immune to this effect will please entitled casual players. Zombie whelps. Nibble on players, turning them into zombies also. Will claim this is another Scourge event. Wing Buffet, frequently mispronounced, is actually Wing Buffet. Consists of 6 flavors, unlimited soft drink refills. 100 gold cover charge, no sharing plates. Druids will probably demand vegetarian option, will suggest the salad. Fearsome Roar, determined too scary for newer players, altered to Fearsome Bore, which causes players to fall asleep at keyboard. Concerns raised that this will be too challenging, likelihood of double stacking, since fight will probably send players to sleep anyway. Ghostcrawler comments that WoW must have at least some challenging content. Bobby Kotick, sitting in on meeting, laughs and floats away on hover chair made of money. Concerns raised that players may not wish to play, quote, stupid recycled fight that they've already done before. Morhaine replies, recycling is good, everyone is going green these days, and besides, we'll just give them item level 9000 epics, and they'll forget all about it. Rapturous applause, Morhaine bows, meeting adjourned. So, not as threatening as it was made out to be. Looks like we should easily be able to defeat the zombie menace and save Azeroth. Wait, hold on. I'm just getting reports that there are going to be zombie versions of Ragnaros, Nefarian, and... oh, WTF, Kael'thas again? The setback was merely a setback. Martha, get the Lobo and hide the kids in the Onyxia scale cellar. This has been Nubcake News. Good night.